Hello, this is Benjamin. Welcome back. Tonight, or today, whenever you're watching this, we're going to be editing the Horsehead Nebula complex, the Flame Nebula and the Horsehead. This is obviously a winter target, but it is summer, so we're dealing with some old data here. But I never got around to processing it until the other day, and I just really like it. So this is 12 300-second exposures with an Apertura 75Q Pets full refractor and a ASI294MC Pro camera. This data is drizzled, and you're right if you're thinking you need 15 images to drizzle, because you are correct. So it did create a couple artifacts that we're going to have to take care of in this data. So we will take care of that. First thing we need to do is get rid of this green bias. So script, toolbox, auto linear fit. Saves me time. I reference channel selection green channel and let it run. This can be done manually, but the script works just fine. So I recommend that portion of the toolbox script. So this will take just a second. But one of the things that we're going to talk about tonight is mask generation. We're going to end up isolating this Flame Nebula mask, or the Flame Nebula in a mask. So masking is very important in Pixinsight, and it's kind of difficult, but it's getting easier with all these tools. So there we have our image. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to run the BlurXterminator in its correct only mode, just to get the stars looking right. You see there are some big halos caused by the L-eXtreme, because this was taken through an L-eXtreme filter. L-eXtreme gets your hydrogen alpha gas, which is all the red, and oxygen 3, which is not a whole lot in this image. So it's mainly a red image, but we're going to play with it a little bit. But you end up with a couple star halos just based on the filter. It's just kind of the way it is. We can play with them if we want to, but we'll probably just leave them because they are natural and they're not too distracting from the image, in my opinion. So there's BlurXterminator. Now let's run a dynamic crop to get rid of the stacking artifacts, which are all up top. So we'll crop them out. Give it a little bit on the sides, just in case there's something I can't see. A little bit on the bottom in case there's something I can't see. And we will accept that. Okay. Now we'll run automatic auto DBE through the SETI Astro. This is a free tool. It's really, I really like it. I recommend it highly. SETI Astro. And it's done. Let's look at our background. See, it took out a lot of red. A little bit of red here. A very heavy gradient, which is actually surprising with the L-eXtreme filter, but I live in a very light polluted area, so the filter was doing what it could. And you can see the difference. See how this corner is so much less red. And oops. You just set up so you can see the difference of what the auto DBE does. Just see how there is a gradient that goes from the left to the right, and this image just looks flatter. It just from the left to the right, it's all pretty much the same intensity. So let's get rid of this. This is the old image. We don't want it anymore. We've got our ADBE, auto DBE image here. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to do an image solver. So script, image analysis, image solver. All the data pre-populates with my for my fit files. Run that, and it will solve the image for us. Get a coordinates. All right. Now I like running the spectrophotometric color calibration. Change them all to the L-eXtreme filter. And we're going to make a preview in a place with no stars, which will be right about there. From preview 1 And this is all set up properly now, so we will go ahead and run it. This is going to change the color of the stars and the nebula and the image as a whole to more what the actually should look like. So it takes out kind of the bias that the camera had, which is a little bit of green still. And you can see that we've got a lot of red now, which is the way it should be, because this is a very heavy hydrogen alpha area. Now, you see this little spot right here? Right there? That's what I was talking about with the drizzling problem. I didn't have 15 images, so it created a little bit of a drizzle problem. So we're going to deal with that later. So let's run BlurXterminator in its full. Let's get rid of that window. Let's run BlurXterminator in its full capacity. Okay. Now we'll run denoising, which I use GraXpert for. The denoise option, strength 1, replace image. Let's get rid of some of that noise. All that noise. Alright, zoom in, you can see it's a nice soft image with very little noise. Very nice. Good so far. So now we will take the stars out with the StarXterminator. Alright. Here's our stars image. Let's rename that to stars. And we'll deal with that in a couple minutes. I don't feel like dealing with it quite yet. I want to deal with this. So you can see it left some of the halo, but that's okay because it should cancel out when we put the stars back on, is what I'm learning. So we will leave it alone and not try to get rid of it. But we will need to stretch this image before we can deal with the drizzling problem. So let's go to generalized hyperbolic stretch, zoom in, put a symmetry point right in the middle, turn on the automatic preview, local intensity up to about, oops. Okay, that's a good first stretch right there. So we'll accept that. Reset that, reset the zoom, and stretch a little bit. Oops, send symmetry point in, local intensity, increase. Play with the symmetry point, make sure it's where we want it, which I want it about there. Let's stretch it again. Local intensity. Bring down the protect highlights to protect the highlights some. And let's call that good for now. Now that we've stretched it, we can see the problems. There's one right there where it did not drizzle properly. Just created that grid pattern and it goes down from there. There's a purple patch and another patch. So this is not in any real important nebula. I guess it's all important, but so what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of those errors because they're small. So we're going to use the blemish blaster. And we're going to zoom in on the area. Where'd it go? I lost it. Okay. Hold the shift key down, drag the circle out till it's all within the circle, hit execute. Scroll down, do the same, shift key, drag a circle out, execute. I missed one. No, I didn't. Was that 3? Oh, there's the one at the bottom. Circle, execute. And then apply to main image. If you don't hit apply to main image, it doesn't do it. It doesn't commit the changes to the main image. So we can now exit out of here, and it looks much cleaner from those drizzle artifacts. Next thing I want to do is go into the histogram transformation and increase our, I'm going to lower our blacks a little bit, increase our whites a little bit, and play with the middle slider until we get what we're looking for, which is more contrast. So in this case, we're going to bring it up just a little bit, darkening the midtones. Bring out a little more definition in these striations. This little wisp here, inside the flame nebula. Let's accept that. Now I'm going to go into the curves transformation, and let's see, this is pretty neutral space right here, so that's where my black point is. We want to lower that a little bit, and raise our lights back up a little bit. Where's the flame nebula on this graph? It is pretty much right where that point is. So we need to be careful not to blow out the reds here, but they're getting a little hot, but they're okay. So let's accept that. Let's not accept that. So, next, I want to take this flame nebula. I like my flame nebula white, not red. I think the contrast of the white yellow against the red looks really cool. So let's create ourselves a red mask, and it's going to capture all of this red. But we're going to select only the flame nebula. So there's our mask. As we anticipated, it's got all the red. So if we just use this mask right now, it's affecting all of the red. But we want to isolate the flame. So let's go to Script, SETI Astro, Fame, Freehand, Adaptive Mask Editor. Zoom out so we can see everything. Press the Shift key. We're going to circle what we want to select on the mask, which is the flame nebula. We'll leave that blob red for the moment anyway. Blur it some, select mask size lightness, and then execute. And flame nebula. We can now close our red mask. We don't need it anymore, and we take our Fame edited mask on to the image, process, all processes, curves transformation. And we want this to be less red, so let's take the red and lower it. Let's take the green and raise it. And the blue, we are going to lower it. We don't want it too much of a halo. So let's actually go ahead and cancel this. Let's blur that mask a little bit more. So we're going to use our mask blur here with the Bill Blanchin's desktop icon or base setup icons. And that is not right. We just blurred our picture. Let's undo that. Let's blur the mask, not the picture. Blur this a couple more times. Okay. Process, all processes, curve transformation. So we take the red out of the brights. Greens up on the brights. The blues and the brights. Right there. Now on the low section, let's raise them back up so it doesn't look like we have a halo. Lower them on the greens and the blues just a little bit. That looks pretty nice. Maybe lighten it up just a little bit. Let's accept that. Change. Let's reset our tool. Let's use the L factor, the lightness factor, and the brights. Let's raise them up. Let's darken the darks so we don't create that halo. And that looks pretty nice. Accept that. Close that. Close that. Not maximize that. Close that. Mask. Remove mask. Now we're gonna hold on to this mask because it's got our flame nebula. So we'll put flame underscore mask and we'll hold on to it just in case we want it for later. Put it up here with the stars. Alright. Let's go and do a, where is it? Local histogram equalization. Mine's set up already. Kernel 124 is what I like. Contrast 1.5 and then play with the amount. So it doesn't create a bad halo, but it gives us some more definition. I'm going to say right about there. Accept that. Takes a minute. And it is done. Alright. Next thing I want to do, all of this area down here and on the side and up here to some degree has data, but it's very faint. And I want to bring that up some. So we're going to create a big mask and try to bring that up some. Kind of not equalize it with the rest, obviously. That would be way overkill. But we're going to bring it up some. So script, SETI Astro, fame. Let's do a freehand shape. Let's cut it in here, around here, through here, around there, up through there, and draw on the outside and cut it in. Okay, so that's half of our image, but it's the half that needs work. Blur it out a lot, so because we don't want this to be obvious. This time we're going to do binary mask type. Let's execute it, see what we get. And this is going to take a minute because no, it's not going to take a minute. I'm sorry. It is not going to take a minute. Let us apply that mask, and you can see we are protecting the main center of the image, and we are editing the rest of the image. So let's go into generalized hyperbolic stretch. Let's see what we got here. I don't know if hyperbolic stretch is what we want. But let's try it. It's causing too much. Did that actually do anything? Oh, it did do something. Alright, that's good. And you can't really tell, but you can see on the where it brought up everything a little bit. So let us accept that. Let's reset. Let's do it again. It's going to be this area right there. Send a symmetry point and stretch. Local intensity up and protect the shadow, or protect highlights down to match the rest. This is just to the eye to make it look. It should be a little bit darker as sort of as a vignette around the main portion, but I just want some details. So let's go right there and accept that. Now, while we've got this set up, it would introduce some magenta. We raised the magenta levels. I want to take the magenta out. So let's go and run a curves transformation on it. And the deepest section has a little bit too much red in it. The bright should probably have a little bit more red in it. And maybe play with the green slider right there. Let's reset this. Okay, we need a new mask. Because the magenta is mainly in the corner where the magenta was in the very beginning. So let's undo this mask. Mask, remove mask. Let us go back to the Fame script. SETI Astro Fame. And we've got a brush tool we're going to use here. Radius, we're going to bump it up. And where I see magenta, I'm going to click. So I've got magenta in here. And I've got some magenta here. Let's blur it out. Blur it out, blur it out, blur it out. All the way up, all the way up. And it's creating a mask for us. It's thinking about doing it, and it has successfully done it. So there, let's add our mask to our image. Process, curves transformation. Now let's take this green and increase the greens a little bit to cancel out the magenta. Good. Don't know if you can see what it did, but on my screen it's pretty obvious. I see a new... Let's see, hold on. Mask, remove mask. Let's go ahead and give this another crop. Let's see, let's cut off some of this because it is very noisy. Let's cut it right there. Come down a little bit because it created a new, and then it exposed a new drizzling artifact up here that I could correct, but I'm just going to take it out, crop it out. I like 2x3s, so let's see what we got. The height is 4860 times 3 divided by 2 means our width should be 7290. So that is a perfect 2x3. So let us right about there. We're losing our astrometric solution that we solved for. That is fine. Don't need it anymore. Okay, so we've introduced a lot of noise, and because we really brought up these midtones, it really could use more time. Not midtones, the darks. We really brought up a lot of the shadow. So I think you can probably see the noise we created. So we're going to remove the noise again, and this time we're going to use NoiseXterminator. I find it's better for secondary noise. So denoise at 0.65, detail 0.20. Let's run it. And we will try to smooth this out a little bit more. I think it's a bit too much. Let's undo that. And denoise a little bit less. Let's go down to like 40. And give that a try. Yeah, there we go. That's acceptable. Still some noise, not really any much orange peel effect from over noise reduction. Let's reduce these two, or minimize these two masks. Get them out of the way. This looks pretty good. Let's play with our stars for a minute. Let's look at something fresh. So, see this green halo on this star? It'll probably, my experience has been that it cancels out this magenta halo. So we will not run SCNR because these stars aren't terribly green. Just a little bit of the halos. So let's turn off the auto stretch and go into the histogram transformation. And let's stretch these stars by hand. One stretch. Two stretches. Each time a little bit less. Three stretches. Four stretches. And let's call that good. Oops, we added our, oh crap. What we did is we cropped our image and forgot to crop the star's image to match it. That's unfortunate. So let's bring our dynamic crop back up. And I think that's one of the last things we did. So let's go back. There we go. Let us crop. Oops. I'm sorry, I forgot. Sometimes we forget. So its width was 7290. Height was, where'd my calculator go? Let's go to our history, was 4860. Let's put it right there. And let's begin by cropping our stars. And then let's crop our image so they both match, because that is unbelievably important for the stars to go back in the right place. So this is still stretched. So our stars are still stretched, but we need to rerun the noise reduction, NoiseXterminator. We already know our settings, so we just run it again. It'll take 7 seconds. Alright. Process, pixel math. Let's add these stars in and see what we've got and see what we want to do. Already in there, stars times starless. And this is what we've got. We should probably call this starless to make it work right. There we are. Alright. Let's minimize the starless image. Close that. And you can see here, see how this, the green and the red, the green and the magenta canceled each other out and created just a bright halo instead of a real colored halo, you see? So, in the past, I've always gotten rid of the green as soon as possible, and I've been left with magenta halos on the starless image. And I've recently learned that they cancel each other back out. So unless the stars themselves are really green, which they weren't, you don't need to run SCNR green, because the halos will cancel each other out, which is great. You see this one's a little green, but I think that's the way it is because it's kind of mimicking this reflection nebula right there. And I want to increase the contrast a little bit on this. So let's go to curve transformation with no masking. Let us take our darken our midtones, raise our brights. Right about there. That looks good. Saturation is good. We don't want to mess with that in this image. I'd say I'll take a good look at it before I call it done. As you can see down here, we created some of this, or no, we didn't create. No, we didn't create. We brought out some of the detail that was there. You might be able to see it. Just a little bit of definition there that you can see in the cloud. It's very minimal, but it just adds a little bit of interest to the image, and probably not through YouTube, but it creates a little bit of interest on the actual image itself. I'll post that at the end of the video. So that is your... No, wait a minute, it's too dark. It needs to brighten up a little bit. This time let's go into the histogram transformation again, and let's raise our whites. Take our reds and dim them down a little bit. And let's call that good right there. I think that looks pretty nice. So I'm going to call it right here. I would typically, when I look at my images, the longer you look at an image, the more you don't see. So it's good to save the image and process, obviously, and like at this point, and come back tomorrow, which I don't have the liberty of doing in the video here. So I would take this image and look at it again and maybe make any further tweaks, because the longer you look at an image, the less you see the image. It's just kind of a known thing with photographers. So I might take a look at this again tomorrow, but for the moment it looks really good. So with that, I am going to say goodbye, and I hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and I will talk to you next time. Bye bye.